Hello, this is Alan Provo with Galvanic Applied Sciences. Today I'm going to review with you a procedure on how to set your piston pump seals and how to perform a flowback test. The flowback test will tell you if the seals are properly set on the piston pump shaft. The first thing you want to do is to make sure that you're flushing this analyzer out with deionized water. The pumps may have been primed out already. Usually, if you're going to remove a pump in order to do some work on it, you should be in the habit of flushing it out with deionized water. So, let's imagine that this was the pump here that you've taken off and have inserted some new seals onto. If you want to refer to my other video, you'll note how to install those seals. So, from the main menu, select Diagnostics. Yes. Arrow down to Hardware Test. Yes. Fluidics Control. Yes. Arrow up to Reagent 4, which is this pump here. And Edit and On to activate. It will be in the forward position here. Note this top area of the display will tell you what device you've selected, what it's running, if it's running, on or off. Right now it's off, right now it's on, and in what sort of mode it's in, forward or reverse. Now it's in reverse, now it's in forward. So, let's see. You want to come down to the bottom of the analyzer. This is the Reagent 4 pump. Usually it will be noted here which reagent this line is going to. Also, if you have any question about which pump is which, also if you open the door, it should be noted on the back which reagent pump. Some of our customers have gotten into the habit of actually writing or putting a label in the front, and that's fine. So let's get back to this being a pump that has just had new seals put onto it, and we've flushed the lines free of any excess reagent. If you could take this cell out, make sure that it's also flushed, and if you had the ability to connect something to the drain tube, a larger ID tube is good, and place it into a cylinder full of deionized water so that we can cycle this clean deionized water through the whole analyzer, and we can actually walk away from it for maybe an hour or two and let those piston pump seals condition. Now, that's if you have that much time. If you don't, that's fine. Just you get a large container of deionized water, 1 liter, 2 liters, that's fine. And I'll walk you through the process now on how to set those seals. Once all the air is flushed from this line, we're going to stop that pump. I'm going to grab the reagent tube here, put your finger over the end, and activate the pump. This is going to create a vacuum between the pump and this line here, and you'll notice that the pump is actually making this knocking noise. That's good. You want to hear about 15 knocks in a row, and it could take a long time to hear this knocking. You might only hear a slight knocking at first. After that 15th knock or so, you want to put the pump in reverse so that it's actually building pressure between the bottom of the pump and your finger. Hold your finger on as hard as you can, and you'll actually hear some knocking again. If you can get 10 or 15 knocks out of this, great. Go ahead and place the tube back into your container of deionized water and put the pump back into forward. Let this run for about 2 minutes and repeat that process over again. Also, I want to add that if you're performing the first part of that, which is the pump's in forward position and it's creating a vacuum, you want to check these connections right here for any leaks. If you see some air bubbles and they remain there and they're kind of bouncing up and down, that's not a big deal. It's the air bubbles that are continuing through these lines, which would signify that a leak is here or possibly here. Make sure these fittings are connected finger tight, and just keep turning them until you see that these air bubbles are no longer coming through. Also, you can contact us for new finger tight fittings and ferrules if you need them, and also some additional 1/8 inch tubing. I also want to point out that these need to be seated in such a manner that the ferrule is flat. Okay, here, take a look. It might be difficult to see. I'm going to pull the ferrule away from the finger tight fittings. You see that the flat part of the ferrule needs to go into the piston pump like that. There is a flat seat inside here. A lot of times when you're dealing with ferrules, it's just the other way around. So don't make that mistake and point the ferrule angle in. It's got to be flat side down. And you do need 2 hands for this. I'd use one hand to be pressing on this line in here so that it's seated flat, and then tighten down your finger tight fitting. So, okay. And also the same goes for this one. It's the same exact orientation for that fitting as well. Another possible leak point for you is this fitting inside. This is a 7/16 nut here. It has a ferrule built into this fitting. Also, we can provide you with some extras if you find that there's a leak and you can't resolve it. So most likely that's not going to be a problem. Okay, so let's say you've got these pumps, or that pump to knock, similar to the sound that you just heard. The next thing is going to be to do a flowback test. Okay, let's say the 2 minutes has passed and all of these air bubbles have flushed through. What you're going to do is put the pump into reverse until you see the air and water gap. Okay. Try to avoid any air bubbles from being in this line if you can do that. Mark the gap between the air and the water in the line with a marker. And then we're going to time it. It shouldn't flow back any more than 1 inch per hour. That's the allowable flow back for these seals. If they're set properly, the water shouldn't flow back any greater than that. If they're not set properly, you'll see that it's actually gone beyond that point. So I like to mark it and then wait about 15 minutes and measure about 1/4 inch. If it's less than that, great. The next thing to do after that, if this passes, go ahead and exit this menu. Exit, and you want to check the flow rates. You might be familiar with this menu, maybe not. Arrow up until you see reagent 4. Select cow. It's going to tell you to remove the cup and attach a measuring cylinder. That is the sample cell cup here. You're going to do that, remove that, and grab yourself a small 10 mil cylinder, graduated cylinder, put it here, and then select yes. And you'll see that there's going to be some fluid coming through here. And this is a way to calibrate the flow rate of the pump and you're actually telling the analyzer how much volume is dispensed by the pump in that 1 minute time. And that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. I might add that you can use degassed water, if I haven't gone over this already. Degassed deionized water. I have a procedure on how to degas it. The less air or gas in the deionized water, the better. The seals would actually set a little bit quicker that way. All right, thank you.